Community, welcome to Celebration Generosity. I'm Dave Ferguson, your lead pastor, and I am so excited about the difference we're going to get to make together. This is our fourth Celebration Generosity. In the last 3 years, we have given more than $1 million to the Jesus mission through these 4 teams. That is awesome. And I'm so glad you're here for what I promise will be an inspiring experience that will literally change parts of the world. You see, our strategic mission at Community is to reach the 67 and restore the 20. If the entire world was a village of 100 people, 67 of those people are far from God. 20 of those people live in poverty. And what we want to do is together change that. We want to see all people find their way back to God and for everyone to live in conditions just like God desires. So I want to break this down team by team and explain the huge difference each of these 4 teams have made in the past and what, with your help, they plan to do in the coming year. Now, before I do that, I have some great news, and I hope this is motivating to you. Last week, we had 2 Celebration Generosity Vision Dinners. At those dinners, we had 159 commitments for a total of $210,000. That is an amazing start. In fact, that alone would be one of the biggest offerings we've ever had at Community. So God is clearly up to something very big. So now let me briefly just give you some of the highlights of what each of the teams are doing. Let's start with the Barangay team. I've been to the Philippines and I've worked with Frontline Ministries. Amazing people, amazing work. Because of your generosity, they've grown from one church with 1 site to one church now with 8 sites, including one in a garbage dump. And the good news is that several of those families who live in that garbage dump now are homeowners thanks to you. Face the Children, their 24/7 home and school for kids who once lived on the streets. It continues to grow. It reaches more and more kids. Think about this, kids who are sleeping on the sidewalks. Many are now looking for colleges. In the future, Face the Children, they've set their sights on reaching and helping over 200 kids to get them off the streets. In addition to that, they also plan to open multiple what they call drop-in centers, just to give street kids a safe place where they can get a shower and a meal. And we want to meet the physical and spiritual needs of those kids. This is clearly the work of Jesus. Well, then there's the Village team. They've also got to be a part of our Village team. And it is remarkable how far a dollar will go in other places around the world. Because of your generosity, in Uganda, we formed a partnership with a church led by a young pastor. This church was literally meeting underneath a tree. We were able to help them purchase and construct their very first church building, and they had their very first service in that building last Christmas. Now, the Village team is actually going to travel this coming year to Port-au-Prince, Haiti, to a neighborhood that was devastated by the earthquake. Through your giving this year, we're going to send 2 teams of people from Community to bring them much needed assistance. We're going to actually rebuild a church and several homes that were demolished during the earthquake. This is something that is so needed, and we need to do. Well, then there's the neighborhood team, and I love Community 412. Because of your generosity in local under-resourced communities, we've established parent mentor programs that now include 50 parent mentors who are working, they get a stipend, working as mentors in the public school system. In addition, one of the highlights every year, we've done 3 different Christmas gift marts, and you people gave 13,000 toys last year, probably somewhere around $130,000 worth of toys. We had 1,500 volunteers, and together we raised $16,000 that we gave back to those schools for them to use. Now, as we look to next year, through your generosity, we're going to expand our Parent Mentor Program to help even more parents, more students, more schools. One of the things we're also learning is that home ownership is a key leverage point for community transformation. If someone owns a home, their kids have a 25% higher graduation rate, 116% greater chance of going to college. So through Emmanuel House, we're going to acquire 4 multi-unit homes to help at least 10 families begin the path towards home ownership. It's a tremendous difference-making strategy. Well, then lastly, our 4th team, the reproducing team. I could not be more proud of what is happening through New Thing. It was your generosity that provided training for 30 leadership residents last year. And think about this. These are church planners in training who will start 30 more churches just like Community. And did you know that New Thing is now starting a new site or a new church at a pace of one every 11 days? And this is so important for many reasons. And one of them is many of these churches are actually now doing their own celebration generosity where they give away all the money. It's a great spiritual investment. Next year, through New Thing, we'll double the number of leadership residents to 75. And in so doing, we'll also double the number of sites and churches that are now a part of New Thing from 100 to 200 by this time next year. We'll be reaching close to 50,000 people every week, helping them find their way back to God. Now, that kind of information is very important. And I want you to know how your dollars are making a big difference. But I also want you to know that I'm in. My wife, Sue, and I, we talked about this, and our plan is to give several times what we normally give at Celebration Generosity because we so believe in this cause and the mission of Jesus. And what I'm asking is, will you do the same? Now, to make sure you clearly understand the vision of these four teams, here are the people who are leading them.
When my family moved to East Aurora 4 years ago, we were excited about the opportunity to help impact that under-resourced community. What we completely underestimated, though, was the significant and positive impact that move would have on our family. What I love about the neighborhood team is the opportunity it gives me to help others experience that joy of coming alongside and working with people that are different from them, culturally, racially, economically. The neighborhood team is committed to helping families in East Aurora and Joliet work out of that cycle of poverty. And in that process, we're also changing lives here at Community as people come alongside and build relationships with people who are different from them. Thank you for your support of the neighborhood team and helping us to be a church that truly loves our neighbors.
My dad is far from God, and maybe you have a family member or a friend who is also far from God. See, as I lead the Reproducing Church team and directing New Thing, that is what drives me, is to help the 67 who are far from God and the 20% who live in less than $1 a day to start new churches that can come alongside of their stories. And we want to be a generous church that reproduces that generosity in those new churches. Like my dad who's far from God, or your friend or family member, we want to start and catalyze a movement of churches that help them find the way back to God.
As the Director of Global Partnerships here at Community, I'm particularly excited about adding a second and new partnership to the Village team. This past August, I had a chance to visit the church in Haiti that we'll be partnering with through World Relief. And I got a real sense of hope because what I saw was God's local church on the front lines of rebuilding and restoring a broken nation. Not an aid organization or people from the UN or the United States. And that's having an impact because when the local church in any community stands for the vulnerable and hurting, even people far from God will stand up and take notice. And that's exactly what's happening with the Village team in Haiti.
30 years ago, when I came to the Philippines, I couldn't have dreamed of all the wonderful things that God would do here. We've been blessed to reach millions of Filipinos with the gospel of Jesus through tent evangelism, but the Lord's been opening up many new doors to us, and I'd like to mention a few of them. Frontline Worship Center has gone from 1 site to 8 sites in just the past few years, and that includes the site at the city jail and the city dump site. At Face the Children, we are blessed to see God changing the lives of 35 former street children that have been abandoned and abused, and we're currently finishing facilities that'll handle 36 more children. At Frontline Christian Academy, we've gone from 20 children to 150 children just in the past couple of years, and this year looking like we'll go up to almost 200 kids. So we're really excited, we're amazed at all the wonderful things God is doing, and we want to thank Community for your partnership with us in reaching and helping people in the Philippines find their way back to God.